Jordan, you mentioned you've been playing the Battleborn Beta. I have as well. What exactly is your topic?
So yeah, the Battleborn Beta is my topic. Kind of just, I guess we can talk about our experiences with it, Jerrad, but also all three of our excitement levels with the game. What if we're interested in it at all? Um, yeah. So my first impressions. Played a couple hours total of it, and split that time between four different characters. Started with Oscar Mike, who's kind of just the standard military guy, and that's pretty much the closest thing to kind of just like playing Borderlands, since they're the same developer. Um, then after that, I switched to Miko, which is like the mushroom head with the throwing knives.
The healer. Yep.
Yeah, and he has healing powers, yes. And then after that, I did crap. What's her name? It's the witch with four arms. Um, it doesn't even matter what her name is, but she's got she's pretty cool. She does, obviously magic powers and has four arms, so she kind of has like she's like throwing magic powers at people pretty quickly. And then finally I played with Thorn, who is the huntress with the bow and arrow. And I like the characters. I'd say my least favorite was Miko, just because it wasn't really suiting my fancy, and the knives, I didn't think you could throw them fast enough to really like get in a groove. And then my favorite was probably Thorn, even though she's kind of rough in like really close combat situations, because the trying to pull the bow back and shoot. She is great for long range to medium range, and you can shoot the bow like really quick, or you can like charge it up and get more power out of it. As far as just the gameplay goes, it does, it has echoes of Borderlands, but it's not just like a copy or anything like that. I wouldn't say I've had enough to know whether like I really like the game. Wouldn't say I've played enough to know that or not. But it's an enjoyable experience, and to me, I think it's going to come out in the Metacritics in like the high 8s, high 80s. And for me, I think I'm interested in it, and I want to play it, but I'm not going to be there day one. I'll probably wait until it's like, on sale for 30 or $40, something like that.
So I think we came at this in two different directions. Not only that you play on PS4 and I play on Xbox, but I have probably the biggest MOBA experience out of all three of us, right? By no means am I an expert, but I think I play MOBAs a lot more than either of you do, if at all. So the way I came into this game was, one, I wanted to see if the characters were good. So the whole point of like a MOBA-esque style game is that there's a character for every playstyle, and that kind of lends to you saying you didn't really like Miko, he wasn't your playstyle, and you liked other characters. Thorn is the generic ADC character, and there's nothing wrong with that. In Smite, it's Neath. There's just these characters that are easy for newer players to get in and use, and they're fun and they're good. Obviously, like you said, she's a hunter, so she's obviously not great at short range. That's what melee characters are for. So the whole fact that they have different, characters with different playstyles is great. It definitely hits the mobile players' kind of mentality when they jump into these type of games. I had a couple of things I didn't like about the game. I'll get into what I liked first. Jordan, did you have a chance to play the story mission?
Yeah, so that's the only thing I did. I wasn't playing online or playing co-op or anything, just because I played offline story, because I figured that's like what I'm going to be playing when I play the game. That's how I play Borderlands, is by myself, offline, type of thing. So
yeah,
I didn't even touch online or anything.
Oh, wow, interesting. So for me personally, I think that that's the only way this game is going to succeed, is if it gets, a strong online presence. The story was cool. I liked it. They have really good voice acting. A couple of the characters are actually voiced by the guy who voiced Piccolo and a lot of other characters that you'd know. I forgot his name, but he's done plenty of voice work. You'll recognize him when you hear his voice in that game. The story was cool. I don't think it was anything like substantial. It's what I was expecting. It's in the Borderlands style-esque thing where it's like, a story, but there's a lot of comedy in it. As far as the multiplayer goes, it was solid. It ran smooth. The game modes were kind of lackluster. They were so the two game modes they have in that are basically an objective-based game where you have a line of objectives and you have minions coming out, and you have to slowly make your way to their side of the map. It's kind of like a give and take relationship. And the other one is where you have to get minions to their side of the map slowly over the course of time. So they're essentially the same thing, but not really. One's kind of like Arena and Smite. The other one's a little bit more Conquest-y or League of Legends-esque. My problem with the game, I have a couple issues with it, is one, I don't think it necessarily fits I don't think their pricing is appropriate for the kind of genre they're getting into. I think they're still looking at this as a Borderland-esque type of game. And when you talk about Borderlands, you talk about the story and playing with your friends or playing by yourself, right? It's all about the story. The multiplayer is cool and everything, but it's co-op multiplayer. It's not really against each other. With this, the $60 price point doesn't make sense to me as it being the only price avenue for it. A lot of other MOBA-esque type games, they have a free-to-play entry level where people can get in. There's only a very limited amount of things you can do in characters, but it lets people get a feel for the game, kind of like a beta. The thing is if it's only going to have a $60 price point and not have a free-to-play entry level, I don't think it might not succeed necessarily. I disagree with you that it'll come out with high 8s or 8s in general. I think it's going to be a very average scored game. There's nothing here that constitutes it being special in the MOBA realm. A lot of these games are coming out and they're kind of all relatively the same. You have to have something either special or way to build community, right? You can't build community if you have a $60 entry point. A lot of other MOBAs have free to play, which means that building a community is a lot easier.
Yeah, but see, you're definitely looking at it as a MOBA, and I'm definitely not. Like, I don't really see it that way. I don't think they're trying to market it that way. I don't think, like, the game structure is set up like that. I think it's not necessarily open world, it's just like open level, but I think it's more of a Destiny Division type than it is a League of Legends or Dota type.
I would definitely have to disagree with you on that point, simply for the fact that the way they market this game is all about the heroes in the game, and that's how you market a MOBA, is all about these different characters you can choose, and there's a bunch of them. Just on the cover, there's like 40 of them.
Think about Borderlands. I think that's just like the whole character thing. It's not even like a hero shooter or a MOBA. It's really just the character choices coming out of Borderlands, where you had 4 characters with different powers and abilities, and they felt different when you played. And here they're just trying to like open up that variety even more. I think it has MOBA elements, but I don't know that that's what they're going for.
I think this is completely multiplayer centric. The fact that the story is the third option on the beta, the first 2 options are multiplayer. It's 5v5 combat. It's essentially MOBA. Like, I understand that they're probably going to have a lot more solid of a story and more coherent of a story than any MOBA, really. And I think that'll definitely lend to the fact that it's going to have a lot more longevity, and it might justify the $60 price point. From a MOBA perspective, though, I don't see a lot of MOBA players getting involved in this. I think it's going to be a lot of, Borderlands fans, and I think the multiplayer will die off super quick. I don't think it won't have an esports scene at all. I just don't think that anybody who's willing to put in the time to get good at a multiplayer game is going to sacrifice it on this game, especially with Overwatch coming out, which seems like a lot more polished of a multiplayer experience. I think this will sell as a story-driven game, but if they plan to make this like an esports thing or make it a MOBA thing, I don't think it's going to... It won't sell, I don't think. It just seems like they're trying to merge 2 different games, really.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but I see them going more the Borderlands route than the MOBA route.
They should switch their marketing for that then, because it seems like their marketing
they don't know how to market this game. That's
yeah, I agree with you on that. They don't. The story was phenomenal. Love the story. All my negatives come from the multiplayer and it trying to be something it's not. And I think it's just trying to pull itself in 2 different directions.
Give us the outsider's perspective here, Dom.
Yeah.
I think from what I've gathered here and recently, which is not much, but I think, it seems like it has an identity problem, right?
Yeah.
So from what Jerrad's saying, it probably won't succeed as a MOBA. I mean, that, it's not going to steal a bunch of players from the MOBA
like
market,
a MOBA-esque
right?
game, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously with the price point, they're not targeting the MOBA market because, like you mentioned, free to play is just really one of the. It seems like the best way to go about
build a
getting into
community,
that. Right. But yeah, the marketing I've seen, it kind of gives me the same MOBA sense, I guess. But it depends what they're trying to do with this and how they're gonna, how they measure success. maybe they won't have a ton of people playing multiplayer for very long. But if they sell enough copies at $60 a pop, then maybe they're just trying to like throw them both at the wall and see which sticks. I guess too. Who knows?
The problem with the marketing is like, so all the marketing is like MOBA this, MOBA that, MOBA this, right? I haven't really seen anything about the story. The story is really cool. The story's funny. It's a Gearbox story. Like, it's a really funny story. My friends and I were playing, and we were laughing, like genuine laughing out loud. And the multiplayer was second thought to me. Like, they should change their marketing to make it about the story. The story's cool. Like, you learn lore about these characters, like the mushroom guy Miko, about how like he got his head cut off and he grew it back, and like he healed a guy, and like there's all of this really cool story stuff that a lot of people who think it's a multiplayer game aren't even going to care two shits about. It's the people who see this as a Gearbox game with a cool story and a good time, like Jordan sees it, that are going to enjoy this game. I think people who see it as a multiplayer game, and that's what the marketing is doing, they're going to get in, they're not going to like it, and they're going to get out. And it sucks because I think that it's a problem. It's an identity crisis, really, I think is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and it's comparing this to Destiny might help because Destiny, everyone wanted to call it an MMO, but like it was like Bungie wouldn't let you call it an MMO. They were just so against that, and I think that's how it is with Battleborn and Gearbox, and either being a MOBA or a hero shooter. I think Gearbox is really trying to say no, that's not what it is because that isn't what it is. It's not. It's really like if you're a MOBA player and you just boot this game up without knowing much about it and start playing, you're probably not gonna just fall in love with it. So
nope.
They're definitely trying to go for the console players because I know you play Smite on consoles, Jerrad, but
yeah,
for the most part, like MOBAs are played on PC, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and the reason that is because a lot of them are top-down, click-based, like a League. Smite is third-person action, which gives it a hand to console gamers because you're used, especially Xbox gamers, you're used to the third-person perspective from your Gears of Wars and stuff. And this game's first-person, and it looks beautiful. And like you said, I think that does lend a hand to it being a console game, like for console gamers.
Yeah, I was going to say, are there first-person MOBAs out there?
Not that I can think of, no. A lot of them, like 80% of them are click-based over the top.
Right.
There was another third-person one. I forgot what it was called, but it wasn't important because I forgot the name of it. This whole realm of like MOBAs, it's getting so oversaturated that you forget a lot of them. There's only a couple that remain, so.
It'll be interesting to see. Maybe it's not so much how Gearbox presents this game, but more how the audience accepts it. Is the audience going to buy this game and walk into it thinking they're getting kind of a Borderlands co-op multiplayer experience, or are they expecting the MOBA experience and then being disappointed? It'll, I think, depend on the audience a lot.
It's going to compete with two other games too. Paragon, which is strictly a MOBA. Game looks beautiful. Yeah. That's also on PS4. And Overwatch. Like, Overwatch does everything this game tries to do multiplayer-wise and is better. 100%.
But yeah, I don't know that it's trying to beat Overwatch as much as people think it is.
Well, this is the whole identity crisis. I don't necessarily think the Gearbox guys are trying to compete with Overwatch, but marketing makes it look like it is. Marketing makes it look like it's a hero shooter, like it's a MOBA-esque game. They need to market it more towards its story. That's a big issue here. It's not that it's trying to compete with them. It's that their marketing is stating that it's trying to compete with them. You have conflicting missions between the developer and the marketing team, is what it seems like.
I agree with that. Yeah, they should have tightened that marketing up a while ago.
And could it have a more generic name? I understand, but like, especially with everything else around it, like Battlefront and Battleborn and stuff like that, Bloodborne, like it gets lost in everything. And a lot of people forget that this game was made by Gearbox, and they're a great studio that makes solid games.
Speaking of that, just one quick point. I want to say, since this game has been, since they announced this game, I've been thinking something that's really hurting this game is the fact that it looks like a store brand Borderlands.
Yeah.
It feels like a generic brand Borderlands that another company would have made. But really, it's the company that made Borderlands. Yeah,
it seems like they're trying to do the same thing but different. Like, I agree with you. It seems like it's Borderlands watered down. It looks pretty. The other game that's going to be competing with this game is Gigantic, though I don't think it's competing by any means because
didn't that game like get delayed and the studio shut down and stuff?
Yeah, I played the beta, dude. This is partially vanilla when it comes to multiplayer. That game is like super vanilla. completely forgettable.
Vanilla Ice.
It's the gameplay is not fun. It's just so I played it for like 20 minutes and I was like, okay, I've had enough. At least with Battleborn, I was like, oh, this is fun. Like I'm having fun, and that's to go to the point of like the multiplayer and everything. I was having fun. The game was fun, and that's a huge factor in video games. I just think that they need to fix their marketing really.
Is it a MOBA thing? One of my complaints about the Battleborn beta was the fact that it just seemed like there was like too much going on.
That's a MOBA thing.
Like there was like more than 5 different types of power-ups that you were trying to pick up. There's credits to pick up. There's not only credits, but then there's also this other like the yellow currency that you rack up.
The shards?
The shards. Like there's just too much going on. Plus you have, your main attacks, then you have like your
secondary, your ultimate.
Right, your power attacks, all these different things, yeah.
So, funny that you say that. So me and my friend both play Smite on the daily, and we went into this game, and since it's been marketed like a MOBA-esque game, we went in. It obviously plays like that multiplayer-wise, even single-player. I had no issues. I got in, I was dominating kids left and right, having fun. The problem is, a lot of the kids I was playing against had no idea what they were doing. Yeah. Because it's a MOBA-esque game, and the problem with MOBAs is it's a steep hill for entry, and once you get in, you're hooked and you get good at it.
Right.
But it takes commitment, and that's another thing that can hurt this game, because like I said, if the MOBA scene and community doesn't attach this game, no other multiplayer community will, because they're the only ones that will have the patience and the skill base to get good at this game and make it anything as far as multiplayer goes. They need to start marketing this as a single-player experience, because I think that we've said that over and over, but...
Well, good luck for Battleborn.
Yeah, good luck. The beta was fun, but we'll see what happens with it moving forward.
Well, while you guys were busy clicking around with your MOBA-de-boba games...
Using the controller, we weren't clicking.
DualShock 4, baby.
This is the wrong impression or perception I have on MOBAs. Then I couldn't be more foreign to MOBAs. Maybe one day I should do a Colin Moriarty and play one game of League.
Don't play League. It's awful.
Says Mr. Smite.
Man, that's the other thing about MOBAs.
The problem with League is the community is very toxic, and that game... Real quick, I don't want to go into this topic too long. We've been talking forever. The problem with League of Legends is so what I've said about Smite is you can pay $35, you get every god in the game and every god in the future, right? I bought the game when there was 50 gods in the game, and there's now 74. So I've essentially gotten 24 free gods, quote unquote, right? For $35. Awesome. Each god plays completely
free
different.
For $35.
It's like you're a Hindu.
Let me explain. The way League of Legends does it, and League of Legends is way bigger and makes way more money than Smite, right? Smite is the third or fourth, I think, biggest esports video game. Obviously, League's 1, Dota's 2, I think. League of Legends doesn't have a way where you can buy all of the gods at once. Not a single way to do that.
A la carte.
They are the most microtransaction, money-hungry MOBA out there. Even Dota isn't as bad as they are. And it's interesting to me because they make the most money because they're the way they're thinking. I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. I don't know. I just didn't like the way they ran their whole thing. I think it's a vastly overrated game. I have a lot of issues with League of Legends. That could be a topic.
So
don't even mention League in front of Jerrad.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was going to say. Is I don't know anything about MOBAs, but I know that the wars between the MOBAs are huge. Yeah. Like it's Chevy versus Ford, like Dota versus League, or apparently now Smite too is like. I don't want to get in the middle of that.
That will be my discussion next week. We'll have a whole discussion about League of Legends and why I don't. Yeah, we'll just get into that another time.
Oh, great. We're going to have some MOBA nerd talk.
Speaking of things that a lot of people hate, but some people love, I guess. Dom, what's your topic?
What's up, everybody? Thanks for checking out the Controlled Interest Gamecast. If you want to stay up to date, remember to subscribe on YouTube and iTunes, and give us a follow on SoundCloud and on Twitter at CTRLINT. #SmashTheDunst.